I kind of like sitting in the chair at this angle. It's like more comfortable. I don't know why. It's, I don't know, it's more comfortable. And I'm sure she's going to be interrupting me. She has still been going and going. And you know what is weird? Is I swear to God, that other part of the video where I already just now finished downloading. It's almost 8 o'clock in the morning. It just now finished. I started right exactly at 3:33. And which I just thought was so strange when I looked over and it was 3:33, because I swear to God, when I very first started the video, I looked over and it was 3:30. And I kept trying to think, no, surely it must have been 2:30. It must have been 2:30. And I just thought it said 3:30. And then I started trying to think back, like, okay, so I was up at 1 and I was laying there. Like, it was tripping me out. And it was really strange too, is I'm going to go back and watch the video. I couldn't do it right now because it was going to interrupt my thoughts. But what was I going to say? Because it was tripping me out because, oh yeah, so as soon as I had finished recording, because Stella does something, she wants something. And so I said, well, I'm going to go tend to her. She's already disruptive because she's definitely not feeling good at all. She's gone out to go to the bathroom so many times and she zooms out. And, so, Jesus Christ, I get so lost. So, she went, oh yeah, so she interrupted me, and so I stopped the video, and then I leaned down, I was talking to her. When I leaned down, I felt super dizzy. It was really, really weird. It felt like something I've never felt before, like I felt like I was, like, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain it at all. And then, so I thought, okay, well, I must just be tired. It must be, I need to go lay back down. And then she needed to go out. She needed some stuff. And so I had to be up doing things. And I was so dizzy, but it felt weird. It didn't just feel like dizzy. It felt like this other thing. It just felt so weird. And I kept feeling like my head was really heavy or something. And so it seemed really strange. And so then I went and laid down. She went and laid down. And I went back to sleep. And it was still, the whole sleeping thing was weird. And then when I got up, I don't feel dizzy at all. But then the time thing, for it to say 3:30, if I really started it at 3:30, because when I looked over at the clock, when I started, and I said, I swear to God, I said it's 3:30, but I looked twice because I thought it said 3:33. And then I was like, no, that's 3:32. And then I said, it's 3:30, I think, unless I said 2:30. But then when I finished and I looked over to see what time it was, and it said 3:33, I was like, what in the holy hell? And then this whole dizzy thing, and I was like, okay, so was I like in some like space bubble time thing? Like right as I'm talking about that kind of stuff, was I in one my own self? So that I could understand? Because I know like time and space is different in different vibrations and stuff. You know, like somebody can be in one and years be passing, and in another it's like weeks, it's like days, it's like minutes, and it's years somewhere else. Like, so it's weird about time. And so, and you keep seeing all these people talking about like time and glitches and weird things that are happening. And I don't listen to all of them because I've heard them before, and I already know like this is like, this reality is falling apart and it's all glitching and stuff. But that one was weird. It was really weird. And I'm going to go back and listen to the video and see if I did say 3:30, because I sure feel positive. But then I start questioning myself and start trying to break down and go back and try and think, okay, I was up, I was doing this at this time, I was doing that, like trying to figure it all out. I think that's what we're always trying to do, make things fit. And I think things are just going to continue going crazy and falling apart until we start just getting comfortable with it. Just like relax into it. Don't think anything needs structure. Just relax. And coming from such a structured society, I guess. But this, like the thing I was going to talk about earlier that I kept forgetting was about September. All of the stuff people are saying about September. But then, when I got up and I was just drinking another cup of tea and I was waiting for my one to download, and I went on TikTok for a second and I saw a couple of videos that I wanted to talk, because it goes with what I talk about all the time. And but so you got all these women out there who are telling all the men, all the standards now, like, this is what you have to do. And weirdly enough, you know, the Barbie movie is becoming such a big old thing. It is just another, I guess it's a woke thing. It's a woke movie, you know, so it just bothers me. You know, the daughter that keeps trusting them, who keeps getting sick, who, you know, loved that movie. It just made such a huge impact on her. And I still haven't seen the movie. I don't know. I just keep seeing these different breakdowns. And this one breakdown I just saw was, they open the movie is like trying to start out like with 2001 Space Odyssey, I think, Stanley Kubrick. This whole scene with these apes and this guy explaining what the whole scene means. And then the Barbie one, so it copies the same things, only they put, instead of apes and stuff. But when you hear it explained, it's disturbing how it's represented and what it is that they're showing. Because it is like this false, fake idol that turns the women away from their children and away from themselves. They even have a whole scene where they bust their baby dolls' heads off. In Barbie, which I didn't know because I loved Barbie. I had Barbies, but my Barbies did have sex. And the original Barbie is from like Germany or something. And she was called something else, like Little Bear or something like that. And she was a sex doll. And so then they moved her over to America, you know, where they wanted to make this completely immoral society where everything was black and white and divisive and controlled. And then, so all the girls broke their baby dolls, like their babies that they took care of. And then they started taking care of this sex worker doll. And so there's like all of this social meaning to the whole thing and stuff, and these little girls busting their heads off of their dolls and throwing their dolls and stuff. And then look at like the micro macro, what has happened in our society, how women view. I mean, when I have a discussion with the daughters that are progressive about two topics that are just so on script. It's like, but you can't get them to see what they can't see. And I sit there and drive myself crazy trying to get them to explain it and just be called crazy and bigot and all that stuff. Is because they haven't seen the agenda. You're going to look at it differently when you look at the other side of the coin. So, you know, it's one of those things for they know not what they do. So, you know, I'm going to argue with them and keep trying to get them to see what they can't see. But, you know, they are very locked into some of those movements, very. And so, you know, they look at it so different, so different. And, but both of them are different on different ones. Like one is very much, both of them are very supportive of trans. Like that is, if you don't think kids should be able to, then you got a serious problem. It's like, oh my God, you're just not seeing the whole picture. Look at the whole picture. But you try and show them and they're like, oh my God, they just are not ready to see it. They're not ready. Their minds aren't, but everybody's minds are going to be forced open. And, but anyways, so, the movie, this representation of our social culture with this artificial chase, this whole artificial thing of, it's like self-centeredness, I think, this total ego thing. It is, because there's a difference in caring for yourself and being just self-involved, you know, just it's all about you. You know, it's two totally different energies. It's like the same coin in each side of the coin. The side where it's all about you, and then the side where you just care about yourself. And another thing I'll tell you that I've noticed is that how many people think you have to have money and go spend money to care about yourself as a woman. You know, you got to go put some, money into, I don't know, all the different things, spa treatments, makeup for yourself, a hair treatment, all these different things. You know, that's how you care for yourself. You go spend money on yourself. It's like, we got a problem here. And so the videos that I had seen this morning, this one woman she was talking to all these men, and she was trying to point out that all these men that are popular on these social media, that all these girls think are so great, aren't. They still don't, you know, respect women and stuff. And then you got the women, you know, who are out there telling all of the men how they need to behave or whatever. And to me, it is... and then, you know, the thing about this too, in this immoral society, they've been, you know, we've got a sex worker doll, I guess, you know, leading the way, is how many of these women that were, let me think of what I was going to say. Because the sex worker, okay, so how many women in our society have these OnlyFans pages? Like, all these women who are just... I don't know what they make off of it. You know, I mean, like, if I was desperate for money and I had nothing to offer, and that's all I had, was I was down to the last thing I had to offer was my body, you know, then, you know, but are all these women down to the last thing they have to offer? Is that it? You got nothing else? Like, in our society, we've got a bunch of women who got nothing to offer? Nothing? As a society problem. I mean, I'm seeing so many videos of darker skinned men talking about that they didn't ever even get to learn to read. Our schools have failed so many people. They just discard them. And then we want to keep sending our kids so they can go there and be indoctrinated and programmed and bullied in most cases. So, you know, the problem in our society is that we have a bunch of women who don't respect themselves. And so they'll take whatever, you know, they're not setting a high standard for themselves. And so do women think that men are going to just set this standard for women? Like, oh, we'll just meet this standard that's not there? No, they're going to meet the bare minimum, and they're going to push that. And so whatever they can get away with one, they're going to try and get away with them all. And when one doesn't give a fuck about herself, treats herself like shit, lets him abuse her, lets him cheat on her, you know, she goes and does everything for him and he does nothing for her. These out of balance relationships, this wackiness that has happened by all these people trying to find their true love in a fucking swamp. And so nobody's setting a higher standard. People are just doing the bare minimum, not giving a fuck, taking advantage of people, and then calling it a dating pool. I mean, the men have all sorts of complaints about the women, and the women keep complaining. The complaints that are about the men, to me, is about, like, you got to raise your standard. And what is so mental to me is, like I keep saying, there's so much of this shit that I was saying for so long. Like, when these things pop into my head of me saying something to somebody, you know, talking about this stuff that I'm talking about, like, I was watching it decline. I was saying, oh, look, if this happens, watch how this goes out. We'll see how that plays out. And I could see ahead, and I was tell. And, you know, people don't want to hear, but I was right. And this total decline because of the people setting a lower standard, just taking whatever. Like they don't deserve better. Like you can see why it's the people that need to change, not the, we got new rules in the dating pool. Follow these. It's like, what are you fucking talking about? Or there's girls out there, you could hand them a fucking rule book and they'd just be like, no way, they're not going to stand up and say, like, you got to do this. No. They got to, women have got to learn to feel good about themselves and set a standard and be like, no, if you don't, whatever it is, whatever that woman needs in her life, and if that person doesn't match it, they're not your match. They're not a good match. You're there to learn from each other. And another thing too is all these women who are constantly, oh, I was so abused. I'm an abused person. I'm a victim. I'm a victim of abuse. I'm a victim of a narcissistic relationship. All of this shit is guaranteed that the person that you think is your abuser feels just as abused as you do. They feel just as abused in the relationship. It's just the way it goes. It's two people feeling abused. Two people are trying to get something by toxic behaviors, and they're trying to fill their own needs. They're trying to feel better by doing toxic behaviors back and forth to each other without recognition of what the one is doing, but always pointing out what the other is doing. And if you feel bad about yourself and someone's always pointing out what you're doing, are you going to feel closer to them, or are you going to feel more distant from them, more angry, more, you think you're perfect? I'll tell you a thing or two, but when we turn onto ourselves and we watch and we pay attention to the patterns in our relationship and our problems, and what happens every time he says this, every time I get mad. Why if he just says, did you get the orange juice out, do I lose my shit? You got to go back and look and be like, something happened all this way back that that had an incident, and then you stuffed it in there and forgot about it, but it was an auto trigger. It was an automatic response. It was like it hurt you, so you want to make sure it doesn't happen again. So you just got an auto response, but your auto response doesn't fit all these other relationships. So you're going back from your pain and trying to live your life from a painful place. So that's why you got to release these pains. You got to go back and figure out, like, where did they come from, and release them. And that is when things start changing, when we take it on as our own and we take responsibility. That's called empowerment instead of being a victim. When you empower yourself, you're like, I can change. I can do better. I can have better relationships because I can change. I can do better. I can feel better. I can face my own dark side. I can, it's all the whole thing. Like it's a process. All these girls who think they've got nothing to offer but a vagina and some boobs to look at, they need to work on their skills. They need to find out who they are at their core, what they're good at, and get out there and do, make some mistakes and, keep working at it. And you can learn what you're made of, so there is so many things that need to change, but it's always these people just making the rules, and we're going to do this, and and all the women, and then this huge movement of, men suck, we don't need them, and that, and then, this huge movement with the I don't know what to call them, because they're not real lesbians. Real lesbians are attracted to women. And the new lesbian, which I think there's a huge percentage of this lesbian that is just a man-rejected lesbian. Like, fuck men, I hate men. I'm not having anything to do with them. I got hurt by one time and they suck. And so it's like, I'm going to just be a lesbian now. That's not the same thing as when women came out as lesbians when I was younger. That was not the same thing. They came out as, it was kind of embarrassed and humiliated, like, well, I don't know why I'm not normal, and feeling so bad and rejected about themselves, had to finally be like, I am normal. Just because I like women doesn't mean I'm not normal. It was a whole process. And then they got to that thing of wanting to just be accepted. And it took longer for people to accept lesbians than it did for men to accept, for gay guys. It was like women stayed more hidden or something. It was very, and I still think women get treated worse probably. I'm sure they get a lot more snide remarks, especially masculine women and stuff like, they get snide remarks. They still get beat down about it. And I think, people will say something rude to a woman way before they will to a guy, even if he's a real feminine guy. And I would think, though, out of the gay guys that get harassed, definitely, probably a gay guy gets the most, assaulted, word assault. And, but lesbians do all the time, masculine lesbians. So, I mean, people have got to grow. Even when I did this video the other day and I said, shocker, but little boys can play with dolls and like dresses and still be little boys. There was people who, there was one guy who said, not from, I was like, okay, well, that's part of the problem, is because, yeah, why do you think because a boy is born with a penis that he's going to be all man, he's going to be all boy? No, a soul has no gender. So a soul can express itself however. It's in the body for the experience. It's in the experience. So it's like, it's not so much the body, it's the experience. It's the perspective that you're there to experience. And so that's why, it jacks things all up when they start changing their gender and stuff. But that's part of their learning, part of their stuff, to face in themselves. And I just think, a soul, on the spiritual side of things, if you're talking about a soul and soul world, not in this 3D world, when you're trying to think of things, when you're thinking of it from the soul's perspective, if a soul comes in as a certain gender, that's the gender it came to experience. And if it changes it for some kind of social norm or desire or impulse or something like that, that's something that the soul goes into face in itself. So that's what I think. Go read all the stuff about reincarnation, near death, all that kind of stuff, and draw your own conclusions. And does it fucking matter? No, it's just my opinion. It's just how I look at things, and it's what makes sense to me. And so, but the thing I wanted to talk about earlier was the September. Is that all these people keep saying about September 23rd and these movies and stuff is going to be the end of this world or something like that. There's something about the bricks thing that's going to go down. There's something, I don't know, it seems like it's like the 9th to the 13th or something. There's a whole bunch of dates people are saying in September. And weird kind of things, like one of the things I saw a breakdown, which was really strange, and I didn't even understand what he was saying. But something about, he was doing something with the cycles, and I don't even know what he was calling them, but this same pattern happens when World War I started and when World War II started. And he called it something, but it's some kind of pattern, and it is the same one right now. And so he said that we're going to, he even said the date, I don't remember if it was September 13th or something, that we're going to go into World War III. Because there's a lot of people saying, like, all of these different things are leading to this. So it's going to be this big drama. Like, it's got to. I mean, there's no getting around it. Like, there's no sliding in slow. Like, we're going in hard. We're going in fast. Like, it's going to be dramatic, whatever's going to go down. There's almost so much drama leading into it. And so I think September is going to be the spicy month, and it can be where we're going to have some really scary events. Because I think it's so crazy too when you see people talking about the power going out, and they'll talk about, well, make sure your phone's charged ahead. It's like, how are the phones going to work? Because every goddamn time my power goes out, there's no fucking your phone doesn't work. There's nothing that works. And so I don't know, if all the power goes out, I don't think phones are going to work. So I don't think that we're going to be able to make contact. We're not, we're going to be very isolated in whatever scenario we're in, wherever we're at. It can be in the middle of a storm. It can be like so many different scenarios can go on. And just keep in mind, you're always where you're supposed to be, no matter how scary something is. When something goes down, just keep remembering, I'm always where I'm supposed to be. I'm safe. I'm always where I'm supposed to be. Nothing can hurt me, because it's our minds, man. It is, you know, is our minds just can go wild and start building up and start getting, you know, where you think, you know, you're going to die and stuff, and you're not. You can't die. Even if you leave the game, you're not dead. There is no death. You're not going to die at all. And so, believe me, when you leave the game, you don't give a fuck. Go again. Go read NDEs and go read past life regret. Go read those things and draw your own conclusions. But as far as to me, is when people leave their body and are back in home, spirit world, where we belong, where we're our real world. Like I say, the dead world is our real world. The world that we think of you go to when you die is our real world. That's our living world. This is a game. This is someplace where we come for an experience. Like, there's a lot of factors, because it's like a learning game. It's like challenging. There's like a lot of things that go on with it, and the opportunities to get to live different experiences in different ages. Like, you only get that at different times, but everything is happening all at once. So, you know, you can go back in time and stuff. You don't have to just be in this age. Like, to us, this age is right there. But if you go into another one, if you went into and go through another realm, that age would still be occurring. Like, we see the remnants because it's a part of our thing, but it's still occurring somewhere else. Because all these things, all these, whenever I get shown, like when they're trying to like show me, it's always this whole wall of a million TVs. Like, if you took the honeycomb and just put a million TVs, that's why I always say it's like a multiplex theater. And you can go out and go into another. And so this earth plane, this place where we're at under this dome, that's one theater. But there's tons of them. And there's tons, like everything is micro macro too. So everything is like all these different realities and pictures and stuff. That's why I said it's like a museum or something, like how that, like the watchers or the people who watch us and stuff, because there's watchers and then there's the people who just come, you know, like the ones that come down. Well, there's ones that come down and go into the forest. There's ones that come down and hunt humans and eat them. There's ones that, there's all different. They're all different beings. And you can't sit there and go, see, they are monsters. Like, eat us. Well, you know, we're monsters because how many things do we eat? Right here on our own goddamn planet. And we're just chowing down on them. So are we monsters? You know, these ones are coming from a whole other planet. They don't give a fuck about us. We don't give a fuck about the things on our own planet. So I wouldn't say they're monsters. They're just hungry beasts. They don't give a fuck. I mean, I've heard about humans being kidnapped and they're kept in cages in other planets because they're cute little things that talk and sing and stuff. Like, but I've always been able to see that. I mean, I've always had a deep understanding about this giants and small people and stuff. And this, it's all of the experience or something. Like, people get caught up in like, oh, the giants, but you could be a giant. You came in for that experience. They're just all experiences. So it's, you know, it's the same souls going around playing all the parts. But you think, like, as soon as it gets in another one, well, it's a completely different one. No, it's the same motherfuckers. It's all people just going around playing different parts, going in different experiences. What would it be like if I was giant? What would it be like if I was tiny? What would it be like if I could swim? What would it be like if I could smell? That's all it is. That's what your soul is always doing. It's just experiencing itself. And this is like, we're in this slowed down version so we can see it play out. But that is why, like, in the dome, it's going one speed, and then in another place it's going another. But we have, because of the honeycomb kind of thing, we have these little portal spaces. We have spaces that are not exactly at our time. And that is why I say, that it's like they tried to build this habitat to keep us contained. So we didn't just go out and go in portals and stuff, but still people have still gone through portals and stuff. I still wonder about that Malaysia airplane, if it's all of a sudden just gonna show up and land and it's been a day for them. Like, that's the kind of shit, or that nothing. It's just a regular flight. They didn't experience anything but a regular flight. Like, oh, but they were in some kind of a portal tunnel or something like that. But so we have beings and stuff that come here through those portals all the time. And then we have beings that like to watch us, that they're just like watching, because it is a lot to watch. And that's where I've seen, though, it's like that they don't see us when they get up close like this. Like when I've said, like, I can see them watching me. I'll go in the bathroom and I can see all these. It's weird, but it is like they see color. They don't see the same as like what we see. Like how that girl was showing those lights across the lake when she was camping, and all she could see was the lights, because she wasn't in their frequency, or they come into our frequency, and then they can't make their whole form or something like that. So but that is kind of like how they see us. So they see like a color, but like our colors can become brighter and big, like and so it's kind of like watching. But I think also there's a whole thing about like like our energy extends out. Like if they come down and watch, that they can get like, kind of like when you go to the ocean and you're standing by it and you get a spray over and you feel the water come even if you're not down by it. Kind of like that, like an energetic spray over. But anyways, where people think like, I don't think that they just see, they don't see the same things we see. They see things different. And they're in these other kind of realms and stuff. If you've never been in other realms in your mind, then and work on it. Like, I don't know, you need to go to some other realms in your mind, and then you'll see what it is. You got to let go. You're holding on to something in your mind if you haven't gone. I mean, dreams are like going into other realms, so it's kind of like the same kind of thing. So anyways, the whole thing is so September is going to be coming up, is going to probably be super intense, and just everybody's got to, this is where you use like your mantras and your self-talk, your breathing, anything that is super tense. That's when you use those relaxation techniques. And breathing, focus on your breathing and lower it. Any kind of breathing patterns, when you focus on them, will help calm you down. So anything you do to just focus, you change your focus, then it changes your hormones and your the chemicals going on in your mind, so you don't get so panicky. So as soon as you feel yourself start to panic, do those kind of techniques, relaxation, keep reminding yourself nothing can hurt you, everything's going to be fine. And I mean, there's no telling how dramatic. I mean, some of this shit that people have gone through are terrorizing. And supposedly the hurricane went through last night, and now they're having the floods today. And I've never been in a hurricane, so I don't really know how they work. But they're having all these rain and stuff, so I don't know if today is when it's going to be that we're going to see. Like, wouldn't the people have had to evacuate already? Wouldn't all their cars already be broken down? Is this just another test? Is this another, let's see what happens? And let's see, there was another one that just got marked as a 15-minute city or something that is under, I think that one in Tennessee, like all these ones, they're marked as 15-minute cities. They're attacking because they can just clear cut them right in front of us and then say, oh, this land's bad, but we're going to go in and we're going to make it all safe. We're going to put in some new structures. And then they're going to, you know, another thing will happen. Oh, everybody's got to move in here. This is so dangerous. It's just all such fucking nonsense. Anyways, I don't even know if I have more things to say. My mind is going in other directions. So anyways, I'm going to put this one on there, and I still might come back because like today is going to be so long. It feels like it's going to be just so long. Like another day. It's a little Groundhog Day. It's like, oh my gosh. I like when the waves of energy come in. When they come in and everything starts turning, it feels really good. It's exciting and it's like a real positive. And then it just kind of, like the wave kind of peters out. And then we have to wait for the next one to come in. But I think, because they're getting closer and closer together, so I think they're going to get closer and bigger. And then it's, you know, something's going to flip it. Something's going to flip it. And so there's meetings on the BRICS that are supposed to be big. There's something about India now has, you know, released the dollar too. It's just like this, you know, kicking us all away, getting rid of the, but it's going to feel like that to us, but it's really, it's the dollar, it's the banking system. It's just that people like, you know, what is the most important thing to you? A paycheck, you know? So anyways, but I'll probably be back in a bit. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.